Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
People, what's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. I appreciate y'all for checking with me. You already know what it is. We back with another one of them things. Listen, tonight we got a crazy discussion. You know, we are going to relive, almost rewind, and definitely remind people, you know, because, you know, a lot of people got selective amnesia. You know, we're going to remind people that the JBA was revolutionary. You know, they was the first to ever do it. And I'm telling you, you see the trail blaze. From the moment the inception, we are still watching the trailblaze of all the ramifications that these other leagues, these other situations started just going in a frenzy, you know, and they haven't recovered ever since. The JBA was something special, and who knows what Lavar Ball will have up his sleeve next. You know, it will be many revelations, but tonight I want to definitely bring on a JBA legend. You know, if you are a fan of the JBA and you've been monitoring the situation, you would know who this man is. And here, without further ado, it's an honor to have him. We got my man Brandon Williams in the building. What's the deal? It's Flight Sports TV. How you feel?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Definitely, man. It's an honor to have you. We all know what's going on with the JBA. I was just letting the audience know and reminding them how revolutionary the JBA is. Before we get into the JBA, definitely introduce yourself. Let everybody know where you're from, you know, and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my name is Brandon. You might remember my social media name was Talking with Fresh, still my username or whatever, but that was what my main man AB the Hero always made known to the public when we were doing our broadcasting together. You know, as you can see, the hat doesn't tell no lies. Represent Alabama, graduate as well. You know, but former educator, basketball coach, all of that, man, and just you know, looking forward to telling more of the story and telling our stories, not just my story. You know, I'm just talking about my personal journey, but you know, the JBA is something that I'm very passionate about. You know, the fire hasn't died down from 5 years of you know, that's passed, and you know, I just wanted to be able to kind of let the world know, you know, what we all went through in trying to get this league, you know, created and off the ground. And you know, I'm just excited to be on to be able to share with anybody who will listen.
Absolutely. It's going to be a whole lot of people wanting to listen, including myself. Like I say, you spoke on, you know, the fire that burns, you know, with the JBA. You know, I feel the same way. You know, obviously with the Ball family in general, with so much reports, news, everything, you know, that they have going on, you know, it's so special. You know, I think that anybody, all walks of life, you know, whether you older, younger, you know, male, female, you know, everybody can take something away from the Ball family into their lives, you know, and implement it and elevate their game. You understand? You know, so I love what Lavar Ball is doing. Everybody here at Flight Sports TV, they got Ball family in their hearts. You understand? You know, hopefully today you'll get an opportunity to hear from some people, including myself, is truly in their hearts. The fire doesn't burn anymore, just like yourself, so I know this is going to be an unbelievable discussion. Now, the JBA in particular, how did you even get yourself involved in this? Let everybody know a little bit from the beginning.
Yeah, so from a lot of the listeners, they probably remember when Lavar took, Melo and Jello over to Lithuania. He made the announcement back in the fall of 2017. And that whole year, that whole 27, I talk about it in the book. That's kind of one of the beginning phases of the book. I kind of give it a background of, how I even got started, which, a lot of people I'm sure that were supporters of Lavar may have felt very similar to me, which was, he came on the scene and was, speaking a lot of things that just spoke to me, stuff that I was like, yes, this is like what we all should be aspiring to and all should support. So fast forward, he's like, about to take the kids over to Lithuania, and something else may have came out. And I was doing all these big, long Facebook posts, like preaching basically like, hey man, why are we not doing this? Why are we not supporting and my sister, she was like, Brandon, why don't you just like put this on your blog? Like you giving all these long Facebook posts. And I was like, yeah, I probably should, for those who don't know, like I started my own website back in 2014. I would just talk about a variety of topics amongst all sports, like, basketball, football, baseball, everything. So what I did was I kind of stopped doing that to focus on another project I was working on that I'm still a part of actually. But then like I wasn't doing anything on my own. So I basically like retook my old site and like changed the name up to Fresh Sports Talk. And it was nothing but ball content. Like everything was centered around nothing but like ball family, big baller brand, whatever. But mainly trying to give more of a positive spin to it, because for those of y'all who remember, that was when, Lavar was getting killed in the media. Like it was nothing but negative talk, pretty much. Like you would get positivity, but the majority was not good. And I wanted to be able to kind of help provide more of the other side, a little bit of a different perspective. So, I would just write a lot of different articles, around that. So, Lavar kind of got wind to that. I was tweeting a lot at that time as well. And he started like reading my tweets. So if you go back and look at some of the Ball in the Family episodes, like they'll show like Lavar was like on my timeline, like scrolling through, like reading tweets. He shouted my name out on one episode. So he had knew who I was. So February, and I got the date in my books, February 8th, February 9th, something like that, 2018, I wrote a story about LeVar Ball. It was when he announced that he was going to have like the water company or whatever. And I was like, LeVar Ball might mess around and be a billionaire with this water. It was something to that effect, the title. And if y'all remember, like LeVar, Big Baller Brand, they didn't retweet hardly nobody except for ESPN, Slam Magazine, Darren Rovell. For whatever reason, they love Darren Rovell, and maybe one other like account. Like, but it wasn't like they were just going around retweeting everything. So like I posted the story, tweeted it out, and then I just did what I normally did. And then all of a sudden I look at my data, my analytics. I'm like, hold up, my channel got hacked or something? Like my channel like skyrocketed. Like it had never been like that many people on my website. It wasn't like it was like 20 different people. Like that was like the number. It was like 100 times more ever. It was like an astronomical number. I was like, hold up, something ain't right. Like I wasn't tripping about it, but like something had to be different. So I went to Twitter and I looked at like I had they were on my notifications. So I saw like Big Baller Brand had retweeted it. I was like, oh snap. And I didn't even realize that LeVar, he had retweeted it first. I didn't even realize that till the next day. So like my whole mind was blown. So I was like, okay, I might got something here. Let me just keep on what I was doing. And then shout out to AB. He had got connected with them like shortly after that because he was doing his YouTube videos, and it was kind of we were kind of very similar, but just in different different lanes. I was more online writing. His was YouTube. So when they were like, hey, we're getting ready to do this league or whatever, we like what you're doing, he also mentioned my name. And we had never really met. Like, we had maybe talked on the phone one time or something like that, but we never really officially met, didn't really know each other. But he was like, hey, this Brandon Williams guy, he's like, he's pumping y'all up too. So maybe y'all should reach out to him. So Alan was like, hey, yeah, give him my number and we'll see if we can link up. So I ended up hitting up Alan, and he knew who I was, but he was like, yeah, let's chat another time or whatever, because he was in a meeting or whatever. But I tried to call him back or text him, and he wasn't responding. So they had the JBA trial in Atlanta. I'm in North Carolina, so that's the closest place was Atlanta. And some said, okay, Brandon, this is your only shot. Just show up. Just drive down there and just see what happens. And I just drove down there, no invite, no heads up or nothing. And I started. I met Alan there, and Lonzo was there, and I said, hey, this is me, the guy that writing the articles or whatever. And Alan was like, yeah, we know who you are. And they kind of was just eyeballing me a little bit while I was in there working the event. And long story short, like right before we were about to leave, like, because we had been chatting throughout the whole time, he was like, hey, you want to go get something to eat? Like, want to go eat lunch with us? And I was like, yeah. And then from that point on, we kind of just, the rest is history, basically. So
I think that's very remarkable, and the things that you were saying. One key takeaway I took from what you said was when you said LaVar Ball just reached out to you. He was monitoring your website. He pretty much knew who you were, before y'all had the initial contact, correct?
Yeah, well, he didn't reach out, but yeah, he was following me on Twitter. Like, he didn't follow me, but he was like on my timeline a lot.
Yeah, he was definitely aware of you.
He should have hit the follow button. Like, why couldn't you give me a follow?
Yeah, shout out to the CEO of Big Baller Brand, LaVar Ball. You already know what it is, Triple B's. I think LaVar Ball doesn't get enough credit for that. One aspect, just being revolutionary. Like you said, reaching out to guys like yourself, legends like AB the Hero, many others as well. LaVar Ball is getting, I think just he's ahead of the curve, with a lot that's going on. You see what's going on with media today. A lot of these guys that's on these big brands and TV networks, where they coming to? You understand? So where did LaVar Ball been reaching out to the YouTube scene for years? You understand? And now you got all these big conglomerates, they getting fired and laid off because they don't own nothing. That's what LaVar Ball will remind you. You understand? This is what's going on. People losing their damn jobs. Right. You understand? Because they're not becoming their own boss. You understand? So LaVar Ball has came to many bosses on YouTube. You understand? And enhance what they got going on, just like he did with yourself and many others. So I think that's something I hear at Flight Sports. I will remind the people here, LaVar Ball is a living legend. Goddamn it, he done revolutionized the game of basketball 6, 7, 10 times over on numerous occasions. Sometimes we just discuss one thing, like it's many facets. You understand that has happened. You understand, and like you said, with the JBA, what he did, just world tours. I mean, we moving too fast. So like you said, y'all made contact. What was it like getting that first meeting? Let everybody know what was it, the in person. How did all of that come together?
Yeah, man, it was wild, man. So the Atlanta trial was like April 20th, something like that, 21st, 23rd, somewhere in that time frame. And when I got back, Alan was like, hey, let's talk. And it's all in the book. Like, I got a lot more detailed about the whole story in the book, but we had like a 2-hour long conversation. And at the end of it, he was like, yeah, I really want you to help us like get this thing off the ground. He's like, we're going to have like a meeting in LA. Like, at that point, it was probably like that, like in like 4 or 5 days. Like, can you make it out here? I was like, yeah, what I'm saying? I'll find a way to make it out there. Shout out to my wife. We were actually scheduled to go to a birthday party of her cousins in Atlanta, and she was like, nah, you need to go. So I fly out to LA to the Big Baller brand or to the what do you call it, the Baller State. I'm tripping. And there's a story before that. I'm trying not to be too long winded.
No, take your time. I ain't rushing you. You
Yeah,
got the floor.
yes, sir. But the the longer stories in the book. I hate to keep feel like I'm referencing that all the time, but there was Alan asked me like how much like I needed to be compensated basically, so I was like, well, this is like a pretty high up position. Like y'all give me like a director position, like an executive position, basically. So, in my mind, I'm like, I need to be paid like an executive. So, I gave him a number. And he was like, nah, we can't do that, man. We might have to look in another direction. So like, I'm like panicking. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. I'm just telling you this is what I don't know how much what y'all pockets look like, but if it's an executive, I'm just telling you what I feel like I should be paid as an executive. But I ain't trying to like mess this up. I want to be a part of what y'all are trying to build. So thankfully we got past that. So when I got to Lavar's house, like the first thing he said was like, he was like, Alan, oh, so this the dude I got to rough up, like, and he used some different language. You probably guess where I'm going with that. But it was all fun. Like he was I'm not sure if you've met Lavar in person or anybody that's watching met him in person, but what you saw on camera was exactly what he was, which it was important for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was a supporter of him. And the last thing you want to do is you fall for someone and how they are from afar. Like you see them on TV or whatever, and you're like, okay, they really like that, because that's what I'm attracted to. I'm drawn towards that energy. You want to make sure that energy matches when you see them in person. So thankfully for me, it was matched. And it was good just to observe him around his family. We all had a meeting together as well, and just seeing him in the meeting and whatnot. But it was just cool just to see him in his element, man. Like I think that's me as someone as an observative person. Like I like to just kind of watch people in the element, how they interact with everybody. And he was basically what I thought he was. So that was my biggest takeaway when I first met him. And also just seeing how big he was. Like he had a larger than life personality. And that matched like his actual stature. So I don't think you can't really tell. You can tell he's big from TV, but some people they might be 6'5", 6'6", but you're like, yeah, they tall or whatever. But he was big to me. You know what I'm saying? And it just matched his personality. So those are like some of the biggest takeaways that I had when I first met him.
Right. Great call on that. That's unbelievable how you taking us through basically the whole entire dive of the JBA. You was here at his inception. Obviously it was just crazy. What was it like after you got through the business when you actually hit the ground rolling? Let everybody know what that was like, and also, is this all being documented in the book, everything that you're saying, or am I, or talk to me?
Yeah, I mean, like we're kind of going chronologically, but I mean, if you want to get like the in depth, then you got to get the book. Like I'm giving you like I'm teeing it up so that you like, oh, okay, he leaving something out when I'm talking to you, but you can kind of get a whole lot.
Hold on, Brandon. I want to let the people know right now. We got my man, the JBA legend, Brandon Williams. He worked alongside the legend. You all know the godfather of the Ballerverse, AB, the hero, the living legend. You understand? I will drop a link shortly to the book, The JBA League. We did it first, a league of our own. You could get this right now. You could get the paper copy, or also you could get it on basically as an ebook as well. So anybody could get this book. I'm telling you, you want to get this right now. You want to get your history, even if you already know the history. This is a great thing to have as reference to let other people view it. And I'm urging people, get the paper copy as well. That way, you could, people come over, they can see it. You can lend it to a friend. Everybody needs to get this information. You understand? It's paramount. You understand? Point blank, period. We got my man Brandon Williams letting you know right now to get the book. I'm dropping the link in the matter of seconds. You could get it right now. It's Flight Sports TV, man. So before we continue, let's get into the book real quick. What made you get it going, and how long did you have this in your mind? Because I see the energy, I see the fire, the ball is rolling.
Yeah, man. It was a tough transition trying to go from finding out that the JBA, we weren't going to have like another season, because it was kind of crazy because, not to bring, this up and go in depth with it or whatnot, but, that next year in 2019, there was some turmoil within the Ball family with, Allen and everybody else. So that kind of, put a stop to a lot of stuff. We had talks about, having a second season. Like we had already in my exit interview, we talked about, next steps and all that type of stuff. So we kind of had to regroup, and then COVID happened in 2020, so, I felt bad because I'm like dropping all this stuff on Twitter saying, hey, we having talks about having a second season and all this, which was real. Like I'm actually talking to the people, about like doing the JBA again. Like this was like a real thing. I'm talking to the new right-hand men of Lavar, like the new Allen, basically. Like we were literally in conversations, to discuss those types of stuff. But it just never materialized. I think COVID really derailed a lot. And I think Lavar was pretty much, he wanted to move on. So I had behind the scenes been trying to continue on, trying to make sure that the JBA stayed, alive, basically, because I was it's a part of me. Like, I always tell people, like, Lavar, he created the idea, he birthed it, but I helped raise it. You know what I'm saying? So any of y'all who have children, or you may have helped raise a child that may not necessarily be yours, you can kind of feel what I'm saying with that. So, so to answer your question, I've been trying to figure out, okay, what can I do, just me personally, to kind of keep the JBA going and just our story, you know what I'm saying? Because, we are pioneers, we are the ones who did it first. That's kind of one of the sub headlines to the book. We did it first. You got the G League and the overtime elite and whatever, who had, who took a lot of what we tried to do and has brought more of it to the mainstream. And that's no shade on them. And I applaud them for the efforts on that. But I don't want people to forget, that regardless of what y'all thought about Lavar and Big Baller Brand or whatever, there were still individuals who put blood, sweat, and literal tears into making sure that this league happened. There was players who sacrificed a lot to ensure that they were a part of the league, and I just wanted the story to be told. And I wanted to talk about my journey in being a part of it. So last year, I left teaching after 8 years. And, just one day, I think it was a Sunday morning, like I just, felt it in my spirit, and I just went to my laptop and I just started writing, like straight up. Just started typing on my laptop, and, about a couple hours went by. I had, good amount of words already written. And I was like, okay, I got some here. And then I went back the next day and I had, another 2 hours put it writing. And then I really, really had something. And I was pretty much probably at least half 60% through after about a month or so. It took me a while to kind of complete it because I got stuck for a minute. But I went into overdrive about 2 or 3 months ago, and I made sure that it got done. And, here we are, man. But, that's what made me want to write this book. The story, in my opinion, needed to be told, regardless of who did it, but I knew that I needed to voice it from my perspective. This is go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I got a question.
Yeah.
Because have you spoken with LeVar Ball about this book? Does he know the book? Does he have a copy?
No, I plan to send him one though, because I had to get the orders out to the people who ordered it, because I got the ones who ordered it for me directly. They get a signed copy, so I had a pretty overwhelming response. I was really thankful for. I wasn't prepared as much as I would have liked because it's my first one, but it's been pretty overwhelming response. But absolutely, but yeah, to answer your first question, did he know? I did inform him. I did inform him by way of his very right-hand men. He was just too tied up because I really wanted him to be a part of it in some kind of way. But he was like, yeah, I'm too tied up right now. And I was like, well, I got to continue on with what I'm doing. But yeah, definitely, I would love to send him a copy because
Right.
I thank him in the book. He's a part of the acknowledgments page, along with a lot of the other people who helped, bring the JBA to fruition and whatnot. But yeah, man, I would love to get his thoughts on the book, and hopefully he gets a copy one day.
Right. Well, I mean, like you said, you telling the story, you was a part of it, so, and I think a lot of people don't really know, so it's definitely a lot of things that went on, that I think a lot of people take what they want to take away from, but me personally, I took many positives from it. A man wanting to start his own league, I think that's just revolutionary, just completely independent, just an independent mind. Like, who would even think of something like that? I mean, you got your children coming in the NBA. Clear as day, you can sign with any company. Nike wants you, Adidas wants you. Hell, you go to Jordan, wherever. One of these brands overseas. But hell, I'm gonna come out with my own brand. I'm coming in with my own. And I think that a lot of people need to understand how revolutionary that was. And I don't know why other athletes have not, taken heed to what just happened, because I mean they'll be very foolish, not to, like I said, Lavar Ball he lays the blueprint out, and like I said, it's up to you. You either take it or you leave it,
Right.
But like I said, I think this book is incredible. I'm definitely looking to get a copy of this. I would definitely, I'm gonna have to drop your Instagram because I tried to do it through Amazon and the link is so long that it wasn't even letting me drop it down. So what I'll do is I'll send a link to your Instagram where you have the link directly right there, so everybody can go purchase that book. And and also I'm gonna let people know, not just today, in the fourth, whoever's interested in learning more information about the JBA, you could definitely do that. Follow Talking with Fresh on Instagram right now as well. So let us know how you met AB the Hero. How was that like? You knew him already prior to this, right? You said that yeah, go ahead. He linked you up, correct?
Yeah, so we had never met like in person. I met like I think I may have reached out to him because it may have been it was early in 2018, and I reached out to him because I just randomly saw him on YouTube or something. I was like, oh, I like what Buddy's saying. You know what I'm saying? He on the same wave I'm on. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to let the people know and inform them, like, Lavar and Big Baller Brand and all that is good people. You may not always agree with how he may go about stuff, but the message, if you understand what the message is, then you can understand what the whole, point of what he's trying to do is. So I reached out to him and we had a conversation and I was like, hey man, I'd love to, collaborate in some kind of way, however we can do that. But we didn't actually meet in person until, LA, when we had that first JBA meeting. And, he was, AB is full of life, man. Like, I can't say enough positive things about him because like it was the whole season, like the whole first JBA season was very, very tough for me personally. I can't speak for everybody else. I'm pretty sure they would say the same. But I wore a lot of hats, as did a lot of us. But I never did any sort of PR, anything like that. And there's a certain way for those who may have done PR, like public relations. Like there's a certain like way to go about it. Just because I can write and I know how to say stuff, well in written form, that doesn't make me a PR expert. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciated, Alan and them believing in me to want to do it. But the expectations that they had, it was too much for me to handle. Plus, they added me to be the in-game broadcaster along with AB. And if to do that 2 times a night amongst travel, doing social media, like I had so much stuff that I was doing, he brought the calmness and the laughter and that side of things, even when he was dealing with his own stresses with trying to help get the league started as well with all the stuff that he was responsible for, so, he helped keep me, sane and mellow throughout the entire season, man, because it was rough, man. Like, I mean, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but if you can imagine having a month and a half to plan an entire league, you know what I'm saying? Like when I tell people that, when you say it out loud, you be like, hold up. So y'all had this meeting basically May 3rd, and the first game was June 21st. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you say that out loud and you're talking about trying to manage 8 teams, 16 16 coaches, because it's 8 teams, 2 coaches, 60 something plus players, plus a staff. Like, how do you do that in 6 weeks? You know what I mean? And that doesn't even account for just the media day. The media day was on June 11th. So we basically had like a month and some change just to get to media day. You know what I mean? So it was a lot. Plus, I was still working on top of that. I was a middle school teacher. So all of that basically feel like you're working around the clock. Having someone like an AB, to kind of, keep things light, it just made things so much easier for me. So I can't say enough good things about him. And I really appreciate him as a friend and a brother, man. So everything that you've seen, I know y'all have done some work together. But those who has watched his videos and you see all the smiles and all that, that was exactly how he was in person. And we all appreciated him. We all loved him, just for being who he was.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out AB the hero, man. You already know, like I said, I gotta continue to remind the people here at Flight Sports, we pay the utmost homage. You might hear other people's channels, they don't like to big up their fellow comrades and the things that they do. Here at Flight Sports, we pay as a homage party. The things that you do, and I want to highlight that. I want to support that, even just like many other people. And like I said, there's so much incredible things that you got going on. What other promotional things are you doing? Obviously, you're doing interviews. You was on Monday. Didn't you do a big time? Was it Monday Night Football? What was it? What you was on? You not I don't think it was football, but you was on something crazy. I seen some of your promo. I might have mistaken that one, but you was on a big time.
Go ahead, Lavar, speak that to existence for your boy.
No, but that's coming though. You already know.
Yes,
you
sir.
definitely got to speak it into existence. Pardon me. You was on Sunday Night Overtime. My bad. Not football.
Yeah.
See, I was close. I got it mixed up. You was on Sunday Night Overtime, and that's CBS. I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing to mess around with. What is it like? Doing some of the promotional things. Because promo is very important. You got a book that's masterful. You outline a complete timeline of the Junior Basketball Association, from its inception, so let everybody know what it's like doing promo like Sunday Night Overtime and some other platforms that you was on.
Man, it's been overwhelming, man. It's been cool. Just the fact that anybody is interested in anything that I have to say, I'm just humbled and appreciative of that. So shout out to Chris Clark, this local CBS affiliate here where I live at. I just reached out to him, told him that I wrote a book, and I told him the subject matter of it, and he's like, hey, when can you come on? The first day that he had available, I jumped at it. So like I'm never going to feel like I'm not available to speak about something that I'm passionate about. For anybody who's written anything, you want to let anybody know, any and everybody, because you put the time to sit down and do it. Like this, this was a lot of work. You know what I mean? And not just the fact that I wrote the book, but the fact that I want people to know the story. I want people to know the work that I put in, plus everybody that was a part of it, the players, the coaches, the staff members, everybody. Like, I don't want to feel like the spotlight is shining solely on me. I want everybody to know that all of our work was not done in vain. You know what I'm saying? Because there's probably some people who feel that way. I know that there's some players who feel like that, that they feel like they sacrificed, their eligibility for a season. And I don't want them to feel like it's in vain. I don't want anybody who felt that they were going to graduate and continue on their careers with Big Baller Brand to feel like, them sacrificing 2+ months of their summer was in vain. It was a lot of work. And
Can I say something? I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, because I know I've run across a few people that was in the JBA. Shout out my man Keezo Brown. You know, Chicago's very own. You know, he's a guy, you know, who basically is still, you know, doing many things, playing professionally as well. He was in the basketball league. He did also some many other things as well. You know, so I think that these guys that's in the JBA, I see a lot. It's more people as well. I don't want to miss nobody out, but I see a lot of guys that was in the JBA actually still elevating and getting to their ultimate goal. I mean, obviously, didn't we have my man? Pardon me, on the Hawks. I forgot. I keep forgetting his name. I know. You know who he is. He's the center on the Hawks. I
Big
forgot.
J.
Yeah. You also, like I said, you have obviously LaMelo Ball is obviously the bigger the biggest superstar to come out the JBA. But clear as day, I do see. I don't think that gets highlighted enough as well. You know, of the players that was in the JBA that is actually continuing to elevate professionally. I think that's another thing. I think sometimes we get caught up with another side of things, but I think we need to. I also want to let people know that there's other athletes that was in the JBA that is still playing professionally and accomplishing their goals, and we must shine the magnifying glass there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you hit it right on the head, man. Like, you know, one of the things that I've had to kind of come to an understanding with, because I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit bitter when I found out that, you know, Lavar wasn't going to continue on. Like, I was a little bit disappointed. Not for me, but for the players, because they did sacrifice. But that's a part of it. I mean, that's you. We all make decisions. They made a decision not to exercise their choice to go to try to play collegiately or whatever, and to try something different. Well, it went through for a season, and if they decide to continue, that's their choice. And if they don't, then they don't. And that's just the you have to live with whatever the benefits would have been if it would have continued. But you also got to look at whatever consequences or downfalls that didn't come with making your own decision. You know, so I mean, I applaud and shout out to a lot of the guys who said, you know what, I can be upset and I can let this, like, you know, really derail my basketball future, or I can pick this up, use this as motivation, and just keep going. So you see guys like Curtis Hollis, you see Harrison Rieger, you see Jalen Nixon, Deion Lau. I mean, there's so many, Jordell Ross, Calvin Williams. I mean, I can list off so many different players. Corey, Big Jelly Boyd. There's so many different players. Montreal Dixon. I mean, I don't want to keep on doing it. I'll be here naming players all night. But they're still playing professionally, doing something that they love, and some of them are really starting to make names for themselves. We had Curtis Hollis. He's been in NBA training camp 2 times straight now. You know, and that was a win for us. Like, I mean, I bang my fist on the table every time I see it. So I'm like, yeah, like, we had guys that could play. Like, this wasn't just some hand-picked scrubs that Lavar picked to try to make Melo look good. Like, I mean, forget what some of the people try to act like. Like, we cut players that weren't cutting up, that wasn't, you know, fitting the bill, so to speak. You know, which, I mean, I didn't agree with that at first, but, you know, we tried to really make the league competitive. You know, these were like former college players. A lot of them played D1, D2. And if, you know, for those who try to, you know, sniff at D2, there's some really, really good basketball players at the D2 level. You know, but I mean, these guys are still, you know, making waves in the basketball professional world. And I get a lot of pride, you know, and I follow a lot of them still. You know, I'm still in contact with a lot of them. They already know if they need anything from me, then I'm always going to be available for them, because I got a lot of love for them. You know, like I said before, I was a former educator, former basketball coach. Hadn't coached in a couple of years. You know, so it's a big passion of mine. Like, and that was what helped draw me towards the JBA League, because I've been working with kids, you know, for, you know, about 10 years up to that point. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I get a thrill from watching these guys continue to elevate and follow their passion, because, I'm continuing to follow my passion at my age, and I don't want, and they continue to inspire me just from watching them, keep going, and taking what could have looked like a not so great situation and making the best out of it.
Absolutely, you definitely got to make the best out of it, and I think that's what I think a lot of of the young men did. Obviously, you gotta. It had to been unfortunate, but clear as day. I like how you brought up numerous and array of names, of the JBA stars that are continuing professionally, but yourself, uh, how exciting was it going in game after game in the arenas, being able to do something that you always envision yourself, doing it at this level, around this kind of star power? What was it like game after game, being able to do that? Because I'm telling you, that's a hell of a situation that a lot of people would love to be in.
Man, that's a loaded question, man. I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, I don't know if y'all remember like the Ball in the Family episode when you first walked, when he was walking into the gyms or the arenas and there wasn't hardly nobody in there. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like, okay, where are the people at? But the twist to that was, I wasn't working, like my focus wasn't on the arena atmosphere, because me and AB were doing a live stream. So while we may not have had a full arena, like the live stream was popping. You feel me? Like it was nice. So because you think about like a YouTube live, imagine having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10,000, 20,000, some games 30,000 people live, and you're able to connect with them and chat with them. Me and AB doing shout out to such and such from whatever. And we were able to vibe and bring a whole different element without any training. Like me and AB had no training on doing any sort of in-game commentary. And I joke about this, and I talk about this in the book. Like those first like three, especially on the first 3 or 4 games, man. Like they had me stand. They had us like this screen you got up right here. Like they had us standing in front of the camera, like before the games. Oh man, I wish we could like just burn them tapes, man, because it was absolutely like just terrible. Like we didn't practice, man. We had no time to practice, So shout out to anybody who does that, like in front of the camera, because you gotta like know certain nuances of how to do that. So like to answer your question, like you talk about the energy and the excitement, it was more so like, man, we don't want to screw this up, And then for me, like I honestly didn't know like what direction they really wanted us to go into, So shout out to Alan, he told AB, he's like, hey man, like y'all put y'all spin on this.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I like everything that you got going on. Like the JBA story is electric. Obviously, as many people that was involved with the situation, but I'm not sure what's the dynamics of the situation. Well, I'm not even gonna be, like I said, I don't know your relationship, but this is a Ball family channel. And I don't want to give out too much promotion, on people that may not be, in good standings, with the Ball family, because this channel is a Ball family, just tried through and through. You understand? Yeah. And that's just the only thing I just don't want to create too much because I'm saying these guys ain't giving me any promo, and I'm not trying to give no promo to stuff that could possibly be just negative. I don't really care how people might want to take it, but I just want to be more. This is a Ball family channel. I don't want to shout out nobody that got a problem with the Ball family.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's just the only thing.
Definitely, yeah. So I think what I was trying to say was, being able to put our own spin on it was something that I think we were able to kind of bring to like, it was different. You know what I'm saying? Like you hearing 2 guys that are just vibing with each other, like no script. We're calling the game, trying to be as professional as possible, but we're in a brand new league, and we want to make sure that we give whoever's watching it like an entirely different vibe and an entirely different feel. You know what I mean? So that was exciting for me. That was probably one of the things I missed the most with the entire tour, was just being able to interact with the fans and kind of be able to put our own spin to it. So shout out to AB for kind of spearheading that, and then us collectively kind of working through it the whole season to kind of give people a different taste.
Absolutely. Like I said, it seemed like it had to be nerve rattling because you guys, like you said, it was no training. Y'all just got thrown out there, color commentary, so it seemed like you went through it. The way AB looked like he was right at home. What you think about? Tell me a little bit about, like, you telling me your situation. What about how AB was dealing with it? How'd you view your comrade? Did it seem like he was a little more enthusiastic, or did he have the similar questions and thoughts like how you had involving with the cameras and everything like that? Because like you said, it's completely different from doing YouTube and then being out there with the camera right there up on you. Talk to me.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure he can answer a lot better than me, but just from, because we were roommates like for the majority of the season, especially starting off, like during that training camp time before the game, the first game or whatever, we had like 10, 11 days before like the first game. So our only like interaction for our practice rather was to try to do like live streams on YouTube, which obviously that's not the same, but we were just trying to get a vibe for each other together. Like how can, if he's saying something, how do I vibe with what he's saying? If I'm saying something, how does he vibe with it? And like we would try to watch games together and try to do commentary. But when I say we had hardly any time, like we just didn't have time, man. Like we had to be at the practice facility to capture training camp and practices and stuff. And for me, like I was responsible for doing social media at the time. So I'm trying to get video content for social media. I had to like track players down to put their bios together for our website. And I had to write the bios. So like my time was very, very limited. So like all of us, we would be up to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like every night, and then AB, he would capture footage and he would also like put video clips together for like promo. So we had him plus another dude named Kurt that was doing that. And, all of us, we'd all be in like the same room, like just working on stuff. So for AB, what I can say is, as silly as he may come off at times, like he's very, very, in tune with his craft. Like he really wants to make sure that he's doing the right thing. So, he always wanted to try to figure out what can I do to kind of stand out a little bit. So if you remember like those first, I mean, he did all throughout the season, but he would start off like trying to like make like a movie reference. Like one of the first references was like Lion King or something like that, to try to like correlate the symbolism of the JBA, and try to bring it and try to make sense to the audience. So he started off with that. Then he'd come up with these phrases like the chicken out of the oven, and that type of stuff. But he wanted to try to put his own spin on it. And that was where he would probably get the most like, okay, if anxiety is the word, if that's the right word, like if he was like, man, I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Like that was like kind of where his energy was. Because I mean, there was no preseason for us to screw up. Like it was literally game 1, Atlanta versus Chicago, thousands of people watching, lights, camera, action, go. And then Melo, LA Ballers versus New York, 25, 30,000 people, go, lights. It's time to roll. Whether you screw up or not, like this live, like there is no delay recording. So, we had 10 plus days to try to work through all the other hats that we were wearing, but also still make sure that we had a product that people would want to come back and tune into. So it was a lot that was on a lot of our plates. So that's probably what I could say about what AB was kind of going through, just trying to make sure that we was doing everything we could to put something good for people that want to enjoy it and come and vibe with us some more.
Absolutely. So what was it like being around, obviously, what was it like being around some of the players? Obviously, we know LaMelo, we know LiAngelo. Did you get an opportunity to be around Lonzo? I seen some things you were behind the scenes with Laker games. I seen you was able to speak with LeBron James. Part of me, you had a short interview with Kyle Kuzma. You've been doing some things. I mean, it's not. You got to start you got to start letting people know what's going on. You know, it's big
Yeah,
business
yeah.
going on here. Brandon Williams, you already know, JBA legend. Pay the utmost homage. It's Flight Sports TV. You already know. Y'all better go get that book and stop playing. You get the paper copy. You get the ebook. You already know what it is. You got to get these things. You got to get it. I'm telling you, you want to get the complete documentation of the JBA. You want to get that. You see? Do you see what's in there? Hold it up one more time for me, please. Pause. Listen, you want to make sure you get this book. You want to get this book. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Take it or leave it. Do your homework. You know, so how long has the book been out?
It was officially out July 30th. It was on pre-order for a while, so I took pre-orders the end of June, and then it was officially available for purchase on July 30th.
Right.
So you're talking about 2.5 weeks, and it's been just a great response, man. And I put the short link. I know you were saying the Amazon
Yeah, I'm
from
not.
my Instagram.
Nah, I put the
It's a
link up there.
check.
I'm gonna get this link out to the people. We're gonna get this. I put it out in the chat, but it's not giving them a highlight that they can get it. So I'm gonna figure something out to get this situated for them to make sure they get that book. But there's definitely
Yeah.
some links in the chat where you can get it. In time being, definitely you can go on this Instagram and there's a link right there to Amazon. But I'm gonna get that short link before we get out of here. And I also will be dropping a short link on the next shows and things of that nature as we go live throughout the week. You know, this book has only been out 2 weeks. We're going to definitely try to get this in as many hands as possible. Flight Sports, we're going to try to move some units ourselves. You know, back to the question I was saying, what was it
I
like?
wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was it like getting with being able to be around, obviously, LaMelo, Jello, we all know that's JBA, but we all know that Lonzo was a part of it as well, correct? He was definitely giving some good advice to the players and things of that nature.
Yeah, so Lonzo was like a part of like the board of directors, basically. So yeah, Lonzo, Earl Watson, um, uh, Ed O'Bannon, those were like kind of like the board members, basically. And I met Lonzo at the Atlanta tryout. So he was there. He was at that tryout. I know he was at Chicago tryout, and maybe one or two more. But that's where I just randomly met him. Lonzo's a cool dude, man. He really is. But in terms of the players themselves, kind of what I was saying earlier, that was one of my memories that I cherish the most because they were so young and impressionable. Melo was 16. He was a kid, and we had a few other 17-year-olds, some 18-year-olds. The rest of them were kind of sprinkled in between 19 and 21. But still, I mean, these are still young, very young men, you know what I mean? So me being a coach, educator, someone who likes to mentor or whatever, I just like being around them, watching them play the game that they loved, being an ear if I needed to be an ear, dropping knowledge if I felt the need to, or whatnot. But mainly, I wasn't even there for that. I was mainly there just to be supportive and just watch them play, watch them interact, watch them feel like they were making history and being a major player in the history, which they were. And I know a lot of people probably want to know about my interactions with Melo. And one of my biggest takeaways from him was I never forget, just like one of the first days of I think it was media day, like after, it was right before media day, just watching him, like just interacting with all of these kids or these players rather. and just seeing the biggest smile that you could see. And that was basically what you, if y'all watch him on TV now, like it don't take nothing for him to just start smiling. Like he smiles like that, and it's a huge smile, very silly, very just playful. Lavar called him Wild Boy. I mean, he was all of that. He just say whatever, and the stuff that y'all ain't see on camera, man. Like he was a character, and I enjoy being around him and everybody else, man, because I just love watching people in the element, and that was one of my biggest takeaways was just feeling like I was impacting somebody's life, even if it was a small way, and the continued relationships, like I mentioned earlier, that I still have with a lot of them, who still reach out to me to this day, who I still check in with to this day. Like that's a big part of, because I do the same thing with my former players. I do the same thing when I see some of my former students out in town, like where I live at. Like I'm checking up on them. Like we hug, and I take little selfies with them, because I feel like they're my little celebrities and superstars, my students. So I feel the same way about the players. Like I am in love with watching what they got going on. And that's how I felt while watching them perform in the moment, So, like I said, I hate listing individual players, and I feel like I'm gonna miss somebody, but I had some of the greatest relationships with so many of them. Eat breakfast with a lot of them in the morning. You catch a ride with some of them on the van, and you chat with them. You play little quick one-on-one games with some of them, or whatever, shooting contests with them. These are things that the camera didn't really catch, or not necessarily was documented, but these are just memories that I have. And the same thing with the coaches as well. And I know you didn't ask me that specifically, but just being around the people, man, like those were the best memories, man. Just all of us knowing that we were a part of something bigger than ourselves, and just having a good time with it.
Right. It's unbelievable. Obviously, the final game of the season. What did you call that game? The final
Yes.
one. So let everybody know what was it like that last game. What was the vibe?
Man, it was so bittersweet, man. I was exhausted, honestly. I was just mentally drained at that point. Like I was ready for the season to be over with, but I wasn't ready to say goodbye to a lot of those people, because we knew that we were going to take a team overseas. I knew that I wasn't going to go. I'd already let people know that I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna be able to do that. I can work behind the scenes from afar, but I can't do it. I can't be away from my family, that far away from my family. But I just remember getting to the arena, probably a couple hours or so before tip off, and just kind of doing like a tour. Like, man, I remember the first game here in Citizens Business Bank Arena, and then it's like, oh man, it's about to be the last one. So I did like a little video, like this is that, this is that, this is this, or whatever. And just kind of trying to take it all in, So afterwards, I got pictures with as many people as I could. But even calling the game, man, it's like, man, this is really it, And we did it, I just remember just feeling like, man, we did it. Like it's over, but like we did it. Like think about, like, you remember the AFL, like the American Football League or whatever it was, like
Right.
3 or 4 years ago. Like
you
they
mean
started.
The XFL? I know what you mean, the
No.
American Football League. I know exactly what you're talking about. There was a couple of leagues that kind of came out.
Right. So yeah, USFL, XFL, but they had the AFL that came out like 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. So they played like 3 or 4 games, and then they had to quit the season like in the middle of the season. You know what I'm saying? So all the stuff that they were saying about like what they thought, they didn't think we was gonna get the game one, but we got the game one. We had an all-star game, we had playoffs and a championship, and a spinoff international tour. So to all the hard work for us to be able to go through all of that and to complete it, what can you say? So that's the reason why I speak so passionately about it, because it's very difficult to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's the fact that we finished it. Regardless if we had another season, we started it and we finished it. Not everybody can say that, and it's not easy. Like I just mentioned with the AFL, like sometimes you for whatever reason you got to stop. But we started something and we completed it, and so yeah, that last game was very bittersweet, man. But I mean, I was personally exhausted. I had hardly any more mental brain cells left.
Yes, it sound like you was highly exhausted,
Yeah.
but it just for, like you said, it's a short time span, but to acclaim so much, it seems like it's in the hearts of many, just for that time period. You got millions of people, and I mean millions, you understand, who have that in their heart and remember the JBA and know what LeVar Ball did and or the ramifications it just trailblazed in the sports world. That's what I want people to remember as well about the JBA. What's a few takeaways that you want people to remember about the JBA?
Yeah, man. One of the biggest things is that it wasn't just the people that you may have saw out in the open. Like, there's so many people that made sure that this league went from the beginning stages all the way to the end. And I mentioned them in the book. I'm gonna try not to leave anybody out, but I'll list some of the heavy hitters. Obviously you have coaches, but the actual staff member, you got Brianna Sims, you got Rondrea King, Wayne Marino, just a lot of people who made sure that we collectively put our heads together and our ideas, and made sure that we completed the task. It wasn't like we had this team of 30 people, working on getting this thing. Like we needed at least 30, 40, 50 people, but it was literally a handful of us. We had some interns that kind of, came and went. But overall it was us, working as a team, and we had to wear multiple hats. We had to travel every single game, doing back to backs, calling 4 games in a span of 48 hours or whatever. I mean, those things were things that's real, that you don't necessarily get an appreciation for, unless you're like right there in the trenches with it. So I wanted to make sure that those people got recognized, and also that we were pioneers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take away from the G League, or the Overtime Elite, but if you're going to speak their name, just don't forget about us. Don't forget about the hard work that we put in to allow them to feel comfortable with their model. You know what I'm saying? The G League may have thought about doing something like that, but they didn't do it. And I think when they saw what Lavar and what the JBA League did, what we did, it's like, okay, let's go ahead and push out our program. And then Overtime Elite says, oh, I like what they did, and pretty much just copied it, step by step. And all I'm saying is when you talk about LaMelo's journey, don't overlook it. You know what I'm saying? Like that used to be the stuff that used to get me like from 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember what's my guy name from ESPN, Mike Schmitz, the Draft Express dude. Like I used to go in on him because I'm like, hey man, like don't say Melo went from Chino Hills to Lithuania to Spire to Australia, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, like don't forget he was spent 3-4 months in the JBA. Like don't do that. Don't disrespect myself, all the other people who helped put the league together. Don't disrespect Melo, Lavar, his family, because that's their league, and omit that. You know what I'm saying? Like we did something. Regardless of how you feel about Lavar, regardless of how you feel about whatever, that's not professional. That's not fair to us. And I just want to make sure that we're not forgotten, man.
Right. I truly believe that there's going to be a time where it is a full totality, of a documentary. Obviously, the book is out right now. Y'all got to go make sure y'all go get a copy of that. Definitely get up with you on your Instagram. Let everybody know your Instagram real fast.
Yes, sir. Talking with Fresh, Talking without the G, talking with Fresh. Same with Twitter. It ain't changed. For those who may have followed me from years ago, it's the same one. I'm not on it as much as I used to on Twitter, especially. But I'm trying to post a whole lot more. Just trying to keep people informed with what I got going on with the book and some of the appearances that I'm making. I try to make sure I do that. I'm a one-man show, so if I'm slow to some of the stuff, forgive me. But I'm trying to make sure that I'm putting as much content out about what I got going on. But yeah, follow me on there. And more importantly, even if you don't yourself purchase the book, send it to somebody that you think might want to support it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want people to hear the story. Forget about me getting the credit, for putting it out. I just want the story to be told. It's too important to me. It's too important to a lot of people. And that's my biggest thing, and I hope that it gains some traction and people remember us.
Right. So obviously, I feel similar to how you feel like the JBA is not. Well, I mean, it gets respected by yourself, myself, many others, but obviously from a broad angle, you would think that it should get recognized a lot more. Like you said, they just completely skip over that. The JBA definitely helped a lot, and it definitely got guys like Jello, guys like Mello, an opportunity to really turn it up a notch, and many others as well. So it's truly unfortunate. I think it definitely needs to get put out there. And I like how you said, because we got to understand the JBA completely revolutionized the game of basketball. You got overtime elite. I've been monitoring them. They pretty much are just getting going. Now, what they have is they have guys to go into the NBA. The Thompson twins, just, so they're going to be set up probably for the next decade with the way they got moving. So they completely, I think they need to make a call, because you're absolutely right. They just completely just is a mirror image. They just completely just, and you're right. The G League thought they wanted to do something like that. Even some of these overseas leagues, they coming out with programs, where it's like a level up program where they trying to attract players like that to come overseas. Hey, we have a program that's similar to this. Right. We're gonna get you to the prime. So, but none of this was going on. It was a dead end situation until Lavar Ball. Yeah, I remember when they first got announced. I didn't even know what Lavar was saying. I'm gonna take you back before the league, before the game, before anything. I remember it was a video of Lavar. He was sitting on the couch. Yeah, man, the big baller. He's about to start his own league now, man. You know what I'm talking about, right? I don't even know what the hell was going on. I just remember. Yeah, man, the big baller. It's time for me to start my own league, man. He was. I'm trying to get the vibe and everything. How he was. It's time. He was just sitting there. I'm trying to get the whole mannerism and everything down. Yeah. I didn't even know what the hell he was talking about, but I knew it was something crazy. It was gonna be something serious. And listen, man. And what was it like, Lavar Ball? I'm gonna get this as well. Lavar in the suit, obviously in that, that Adam Silver role. What was that like? What was that like watching him in that role, in that seat? Because I know, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. Because I have mixed feelings on it. You have to get the book to get the full my full thoughts on that particular question. But my biggest takeaway, because I wasn't aware of this before the league started. I wasn't prepared for him to be at every single game. Like every single game. I'm talking about the ones that Melo wasn't playing in. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I wasn't. I felt like he would probably like make appearances and that we wouldn't see him. Like we would see him like here or there. Like definitely, like I said, definitely for the LA games. But he was at every single game from Trenton, New Jersey, when LA didn't play none of them. He didn't play nowhere near Trenton. Well, they played New York, but like Trenton, New Jersey. Dallas, Houston, Seattle. He was at every single city, every single game, but he also made sure that whoever won a picture and an autograph, like he took a picture and he signed an autograph to anybody, even if he had to stay late, and I don't think he got enough credit for that. He didn't get enough publicity for that. Everybody wanted to highlight so much about, oh, he's got a big mouth, or he says a bunch of outlandish stuff or whatever. It's like, okay, well, however you feel about that, you're entitled to that opinion. I'm not going to sit there and argue with you on that. But just make sure you highlight the stuff that if there's a kid who's been waiting or whatever, or somebody drove from Minneapolis, somewhere in Minnesota, all the way to Atlanta just to hand him a box of donuts. Make sure you highlight stuff like that he took time to take pictures with these people, talk to them, sign whatever they wanted, no ego about it. And he really was about the people, So that was my biggest thing. You're not going to get that from Adam Silver, David Stern, or whomever, any commissioner, and he didn't necessarily have to do that. But that's the type of person that Lavar is. Very much of a people person, and he knows when the light's on him, and he knows how to take advantage of it. And I admired that from him. From someone who, because he, like I said, he could have been, snobbish, and he had every right to. If that's how he wanted to go about his business, he had every right to do that, but he didn't, and it came off authentic. That's the other thing. Like, it came off authentic, organic, and that was one of my biggest things with him, and just being able to chop it up with him whenever he was available. Like, that was always cool to do. Because he has his own thoughts, as y'all know, and he wasn't afraid to share those, but he also wasn't afraid to hear a different opinion, as long as he knew that you weren't coming from a different, like a hateful place, because I'm very opinionated, and he knew that going into it, but we could bounce ideas off of each other and share different perspectives off each other, and I always enjoyed just having conversations with him and just vibing with him. He was just a good person to be around.
I know it sounds like it. Like I said, we've seen LeVar Ball in that element. Obviously the people who was documenting the JBA, it was definitely remarkable to see, from afar. But we all know that you was there. Obviously, AB the Hero was there. If the season could have went on another year, in your opinion, do you think did you see the teams expanding the year in? I mean, let me know what you thought would have been, the next year if it would have ran for another year.
Right. So from my vantage point, because, I had an exit meeting, and what we were wanting to do was get an earlier start on marketing and promotion, because we had no time to do it. Other than LeVar trying to go on like national shows and local shows to let people know what he had going on, you need like a street team. You need people like in these certain cities, pushing out, like just like XFL, USFL, for example. Like, they had all these different individual cities. Like, they made them feel like this is your next new team, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. Like, and that's what we discussed. Having maybe a separate social media pages for each individual team. Atlanta Ballers had their own page, LA Ballers, etc. So that was what was going to be the next thing in terms of expansion for other cities. Like, we threw those thoughts around, but the biggest thing was really just making sure that we built upon what we already had, because the first one was rest. Like I told you in the beginning of the interview, we had 6 weeks from that first real collective meeting into that first game to like get everything going, so we wanted to, if we were going to do it again, it was to do a much better job, have a lot more time to promote. We definitely want to make sure that we had, even better players. And that was, from my understanding, was the main goal. And also continue our relationship with Facebook, to, continue to stream that and continue to grow that. But I mean, I wish we would have had an opportunity to just kind of see, because we had some really good momentum, man. Like, people loved the JBA, man. Like, they loved it. Like, there was real deal tuning in 2 times a night. Those games was 2 hours long. Like, who sits there and watches one NBA game and then comes right back around and watches another one? Not everybody does that. You know what I'm saying? But they would be on one game, and then they come right back and watch the next one. That was major, man. That was big for us. So just to know that we had a nice core of people that wanted to see the JBA win, like all we had to do was just build on that, man. Like we had a very solid foundation when it came to the fans, man. Um, so that's a tough pill to swallow. Even thinking back about that around that, that we didn't just get a chance to kind of see what it could have been.
Right, I think that's truly special in my humble opinion. The JBA is going to live on forever. What other promotional opportunities are you obviously going to be doing in the future? What else do you have in mind to grow, obviously, the book and bring more attention to the JBA?
Yeah, man, I'm just looking to jump on, a lot of stuff like this. People like yourself that will have me on. Reaching out to local media outlets, kind of like what I did, a couple weeks ago. I'm looking to do some like in-store events, like Barnes and Noble, stuff like that. So I'm in the process of contacting them to do those types of events. Go to the library. Like I'm doing whatever I can, man. I've been sitting outside of my local grocery store with a table, what I'm saying? Like just letting people know I got a book, and like I'm doing whatever. I'm literally doing whatever I can. I'm putting my little Master P hat on, what I'm saying? Like figuratively selling books out my trunk, you know what I'm saying? Like that's whatever I feel like I gotta do, man. Like I'm so passionate about this, like I'll stay up till midnight if I have to, even past that, if I feel like that would help promote the JBA, or this book rather, to continue to keep the JBA League name on top of mind for people. So, but that's pretty much what I got going on, man.
Right. Like I continue to let people know, get the book. For like I said, even if you feel like you know everything about the JBA, there's still some things that you could go in there and hear it from a man who was there up close and personal. You already know what it is. What about merch as well with the JBA? Was that something that was spoken about as well? Headed into the second season, expanding that and getting that to a level like you wanted to get the promotional stuff as well.
I mean, we didn't handle too much on the merch side.
Okay.
I think that the jerseys thing was the biggest thing, because with everything going on, we really wanted to. I know they wanted to, like the Big Baller Brand Brass, they wanted to make sure they follow through on the jersey stuff. But here's a little nugget for me. 2 years after that, like 2021, somewhere in there, I was talking with like Lavar and his people about like how we can make this happen again, like make good on that promise. But I think again that it just didn't materialize. Like we were like right there, like we had the jerseys remade and everything, but it didn't materialize. So that was a little bit disappointing. So again, like I always wanted people to know, like it was not for a lack of effort, at least not on my part and some other people's part. Like we really we're still trying to make good on some stuff, but you never know. You never know what end up manifesting itself here in the future. So just kind of keep your eyes and ears in tune.
So you being from Alabama, you a Bama fan?
Hey man, you see the hat?
Right, yeah.
Stop playing.
Right, I mean, the Georgia Bulldogs and took y'all down a few times, right?
Hey, every dog got his day, man.
You're right. Nah. shout out to the Alabama and definitely the Georgia Bulldogs. But before you get up out of here, let's talk a little bit of basketball real quick. Do you watch basketball?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, there you go. So what's your team, if you don't mind me asking? Because Alabama don't have a team.
Hey, come on, man. Oh, you're talking about NBA. I thought you were talking about my college, man. Hey. Right. I am in terms of NBA, like I follow like Melo, Zoe, the Swarm when Jello was playing with this. So like I'm big on following like people that I have somewhat of a relationship with and still support them. So I'm definitely big with the Bulls and the Hornets right now. Definitely following them pretty closely. And then just good basketball teams, man. I like to watch good basketball. You know what I'm saying? Good organizations. I like to see them, thrive. I ain't really with the tanking and all that type of stuff. I don't really care too much for that. But
Yeah. The NBA, they trying to eliminate some of that. Obviously coming out with commissioner cups and things of that nature. The in-season tournament that LaMelo will be a part of.
Right.
The schedules was announced today. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets open up their first game at home. They got a 3-game homestand. They open up against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. So that should be a hell of a game. DeJounte Murray and the crew, we're going to get a good look at, some of the young guys they have on their team. Quickly, the Charlotte Hornets, we all know what's going on with LaMelo Ball. What's up with some of his counterparts? Obviously they just got a big time draft pick. They had the 2nd overall pick. They struck out on Wemby. What's your thoughts on Brandon Miller? And do you believe in him? He had an up and down situation in the summer league. It didn't start off beautiful. Is he going to be able to help LaMelo Ball get to the promised land?
I think the pairing is great. Like I said, I'm an Alabama alum and fan of the program. And I watch Brandon a lot. And he's a guy that can play off the ball, but he can also play on the ball a little bit as well and let Melo, if that's how they choose to do, like he can facilitate an offense and let Melo play off the ball if necessary. I think Melo's better on the ball. That's where he shines at, being able to score, but also playmate. But I think a lot of people they saw the flash with Scoot Henderson. I'm not saying that he's not a good player, but I think Brandon is a better fit because he can also defend. He's 6'8", 6'9", but he can shoot really well. He can drive and finish. Like I said, he can facilitate as also he can run in the offense and run the half court and in transition. I think for Charlotte, man, they just got to figure out some of the other pieces because they got enough people that can score. It's just do you have everything else to come together? And Melo he has to stay healthy, man. So hopefully if he can stay healthy, I think that Charlotte can get back to what they were a couple of years ago when they were like on the cusp of the playoffs and the play-in tournament. But they're like inching close to like really being a major player in terms of being like a playoff team. And plus, not having Miles Bridges didn't help them at all. Like they needed his abilities, and they didn't have that. So I think having him back, PJ Washington, I like Mark Williams, and Nick, what's his last? I'm tripping. You know what I'm talking about?
Nick Richards.
Yeah. Having a lot of these young pieces along with some of the veterans like Oubre and Terry Rozier, if they can stay healthy, man, like they should at least get an 8, like a playoff berth. Like there should be 7, 8 seed at worst.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the Charlotte Hornets. I think that this could be their year. I'm very optimistic. What's your thoughts on obviously Lonzo Ball? We all know there's been a tough situation with him. The last time we seen Lonzo, the Chicago Bulls, they had the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They've been in shambles ever since. What's your thoughts on Lonzo Ball as a player and obviously what he's dealing with and how the Bulls going to get up out of this? Because they're in a serious jam.
Yeah, man. First, man, Lonzo one of my favorite players, man. Like when you talk about like how to play the game the right way, like I love watching him play. Like I love watching Melo play, but if I had to pick between the two, I would pick Lonzo, man, because I think he just does so much stuff that just it goes unnoticed. And I've been since I've been coached over 10 years, like I just watch little nuances of what I see. I'm like, yes, this guy can lead a team to a championship, not just to the playoffs. I mean, y'all saw how he was before he got hurt. Like the Bulls was looking like they was about to literally be like in the semifinals. If at worst, like they was at least going to make the semifinals that year. if not make it to the championship. And unfortunately, he got hurt, man. But I think the Bulls they're a point guard away. If they can keep everybody else together, I mean, they had a lot of good pieces, but he really made that whole engine just work so well, man. And he was on the verge of being an All NBA defensive team. He's a really good player when you think about just like a basketball player. He's just somebody that, man, like I get frustrated just talking about it because I'm just hoping and praying that is his knee gets better, man. Just magically, miraculously, as a miracle, just gets better. But if he does, man, if he can somehow, some way get it situated, then he's going to help lead the team to a championship. I guarantee it.
Right. And then obviously LiAngelo Ball, G3, G Honcho. What's your thoughts?
I think at this point, he's definitely just going to have to try to make sure that he gets to a situation where he can actually play. Like he needs to, a team has to be able to see where his skill set is. I think the road to the NBA is going to be really tough for him because he doesn't have the athleticism that his brothers have to be able to defend at the level that's needed. But he's such a good offensive player that if he can show that he can score the way that we know he can score, then I've always said, this was my thing. I always said he needed 2 years in the G League. But when I said 2 years, you got to actually let him play. Like, I understand why he didn't play last year. Like, I was really frustrated about that because, you saw when he actually got in, like he showed some stuff. Like, there's obviously stuff he can obviously work on. But you got to let the guy at least develop. So, at this point, I would like to see him. I heard him, talk about going to Australia or something like that. So if he can get on a team and actually get some actual minutes and develop, I think there's a place for him in the NBA, but he's really got to just be more consistent with his shot. And he also has to work better with guarding in the half court. If he can do those things, he scores it so well that he can make his way onto an NBA team.
But I completely agree with you. Well, is there any shout outs you want to give out? Definitely any final remarks, that you want to get on while you're here on Flight Sports?
Nah, man, shout out to you for, just allowing me to come on your platform and, giving me, a space to share, my thoughts about, something that's very passionate for me. The JBA League is always going to be, high up, with me and in my heart. My book, thank you for, helping me promote this. I just hope that, for those who do decide to purchase it or share it with someone, hopefully, you think I did a good job of sharing my story, our story. And maybe you learned something. You learned some things that you probably just didn't know about. I try to do a pretty good job of providing some behind the scenes insight, some perspective, and even drop a few nuggets, So definitely check it out. Get it on Amazon. If you want to get the signed copy, I probably need to send you that link so you can drop that. I'll send that to you right now, actually. So
you can send it to me. I'm here. I'll drop it.
Yeah. So if you want to get a signed copy, you just go to my website. Like I said, let me drop that for you here right now. But that'll come directly to me, and I can give you a signed copy and ship that out to you. So I'm gonna send that to you right now in this little StreamYard chat.
Okay.
Here we go. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's all I wanted to make sure that I got out, and just hope that people enjoy the book.
Right. Well, I want to definitely let you know that, the door is always open here. I don't want this to be a one-off situation. I truly want to establish a relationship between, myself, Flight Sports TV, Brandon Williams. You got a great situation going on here with the JBA, this book. I'm telling you, I know for a fact it's going to touch some people. And like I said, anything I could do to help, I'm definitely willing to do it. Here at Flight Sports, man, we try to promote as much as we can. I definitely love to promote, especially good things like what you have going on. You bring an awareness to something that was so revolutionary, and these things have to be told. It's just a fact. It's history. At the end of the day, and these things are in history, and you can't, you can't just rewrite history. Certain things happen. There are people in it. And it is what it is. And here, Brandon Williams will give you insight on what happened, and you could get that here at Flight Sports. So like I said, I hope this is a start of an amazing partnership. I definitely want to echo those statements. Remember, the door is open. You could definitely feel free to reach out to me. Don't make this a one-off. If you want to come on tomorrow, you could do that. If you want to come on this weekend, you could do it. We go live every night. It's the off season right now, so we may take a day off or something, but for the most part, this stream goes live for the people every single night, and we definitely try to put our best foot forward. And like I said, you definitely could be a part of it any chance you get. We're gonna have a lot of things going on, and feel free to. You're welcome. The link is here for you to join any day you feel like it.
Awesome, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. And shout out to you again for just giving for the opportunity. Very humbled, very honored to join in and be able to grace your platform and just talk about something very passionate for me. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's an honor to have you. You already know what it is. Shout out my man Brandon Williams, JBA legend. You already know what it is. It's Flight Sports TV. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new, most definitely hit that subscribe button. Peace and love. Salute to everybody in the chat. You better go get that book. I'm telling you, get the book. Get the book, y'all. It's Flight Sports. Peace and love.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.